Okay. So let's go to the basic math of prioritization. Like this is one, if the math doesn't work, just don't do it. So this is really, really simple. There's an estimated return that you either gained, an estimated return. It might be an opportunity for chasing a project. It might be something that you saved by improving a process by buying a piece of software. You have to multiply that quite simply by the probability of success. Nothing is 100% guaranteed. Obviously, you don't want to do these highly, highly risky things all the time. If it's only got a 10% probability, the math probably won't work. But you want to really as accurately as you can estimate the success probability. And to do that pragmatically, not from the direction of trying to sell the idea, right? I mean, it should be both a sales process. Let's assume that if you brought up the idea, we're working on the sales process. This is now pragmatically looking at and saying, okay, what are all the variables and what's our true probability of success? And some of the best ways you can figure it out, like I ran this morning. I'm not very good at running. The very best way to predict my running time and pace this morning was what was my running time last week. So quite honestly, I mean, look at yourself. Like if it's a software implementation and you think that's going to solve problems, take a look at the software that you currently have and ask yourself, how long did it really take you to go through there and get the thing implemented and fully adopted by 85, 90% of your people using it consistently? You know, if it was a new process, not software related or something, if it was a production process in the field or standardization of something in the field, again, just ask yourself, it's just a number. It's just like my running number. I'm not proud of it. I'm not going to share it, but if you call me, I'll tell you. And then you kind of divide that by what's our estimated cost to mitigate or capture this. It's just like doing a business level estimate thing. And then you're just kind of looking at it over what period of time. Typical contractor has a return on their capital of anywhere between 30 and 40% for kind of average benchmarks, depending on what type of contractor you are. If it has an estimated return better than that, it's a really good use of your capital. If it has an estimated return worse than that, it's probably a poor use of your capital. But again, you have to look at it over what period of time, because some bigger strategic decisions that we're going to be talking about later on may not pay off for several years. So it's super important to look over what period of time. So that's the basics. I think we're done here, right, Sue?
The only thing I'd add is that you can actually use this as well when you're talking about shifting roles, right, or shifting responsibilities from one job role to another job role, right? What are you going to save or gain by that? And really the biggest hurdle is what's the estimated success probability, because that's a change in behavior for all people, right? But it can be used with people as well when you're changing job roles or moving those tasks around. So it applies to virtually everything that we do.
Yeah, and I wish I could say that it was that simple and this was the end of prioritization. And once you learn this simple formula, calculated in percentages, calculated in dollars, saving 70% on $100 is not really that big of a deal. And unless you do it 100 times a month or something, but saving 30% on $10 million is huge. So it's like, just do the math in both sides. Look at the return in percentages and the return in dollars over a period of time. And this is the first level of how you prioritize it. So I want to throw out an example of this that is just recent from the last couple of weeks. So which is really cool. So we have a contractor. They're at stage 4, so around 150 total head count. So they're at stage 4 based on a head count level. Good solid contractor, good reputation, and they had 3 opportunities for projects that were pretty, like what we would call a major pursuit. They're projects that make up more than 25% of their revenue. So I think any project that has that criteria deserves some extra scrutiny. So they had 3 that they were pursuing. Pretty cool that they got to the table on it. They ended up winning one. Great. It had good returns on it and everything. And then they really wanted to go take a look at, okay, how do we calculate whether we should go after the second one or not? And the second one they got shortlisted on. It would have been their job to turn down. And what they were looking for was like, what's the math? What's the math? which there is math to it, right? Then so there was a math of like what's the return, what's the risk that's in the estimate, how confident are we in the estimate, what's the what's the risk, what are the unknown risks that we don't know, like after we've covered all of that. And so there is definitely some math to it, but there was also, when we kind of sat down and went through it, there was about 30 other questions that really needed to go into a solid, go, no-go process. And they just didn't have that robustness in their sales, their business development, their estimating systems at this time. They need to go get that built in, so, to navigate to stage 5. And they had tried to navigate to stage 5 just based on growth, but that you can't. But this is a perfect example. You cannot make that reach up to a stage of growth if you don't have the right foundation in place, and it cost them a whole lot. It cost them a lot of money. And I just saw Travelers Construction Surety release some stats from their end. 60% of contractor failures are due to a single catastrophic project. Yep. So the making money in construction's not that hard. Hanging on to it and doing it consistently is really, really hard. So it's like betting. So anyways, this is the simple part. Now it gets much more complex after this, because people get involved. So people and choices get involved, right? So